times knocking upon your front door.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Make Your Day Richer. I am here. I love this business and this story and the idea behind this because it makes something that I hate doing so much easier. So please welcome Bryan Clayton. Bryan, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks for having me on. This is great to be here.
Of course. Now, tell everybody what you do and how that my first real question is like, how did you even think of this? But tell everybody what you do first.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm co-founder of a company called GreenPal, and GreenPal is a mobile app that works like Uber or DoorDash or Instacart, but for one thing, lawn mowing services. So you have tall grass outside, somebody's got to mow it. Rather than calling around on Craigslist or Facebook or Yelp or something like that, you just download GreenPal and you pop your address in and you get competing quotes from lawn care services nearby you, and you can hire one right on the app and pay them right on the app. And GreenPal is a 10-year overnight success. It's been around for about 10 years and now nationwide in the United States with around 300,000 people using it every week to get lawn mowing done.
And how many, do you even know how many like companies are, I'm sure you do, you're the CEO. How many companies are signed up as lawn care providers?
Yeah, that's a great question. That really is why we exist. We are an all-in-one kind of business in a box for lawn care companies, and around 40,000 lawn mowing services all over the United States use it to be kind of like their business in a box. It's a place where they can go and get as many customers as they want. They can schedule everything, keep everything in one place. It's kind of like a CRM for them also, and then manage all of their invoicing and billing all through the platform. And so that's why we exist, is to kind of give them a turnkey way to manage a lawn mowing business.
Were you in this job field before?
Yeah, that's kind of the only thing we had going for us when we started the company 10 years ago. Was my first business was a landscaping company. I ran a lawn mowing business from the age of 15 all the way for about 20 years to 35, and then I sold it. And so I grew that little lawn mowing business to around 150 employees, eventually getting it around $10 million a year in sales. And it was one of the larger landscaping businesses in the state of Tennessee where I live. And so after I sold that, it was about the time that Airbnb and Uber were taking off. And I thought somebody's going to build an app that works like these apps do, but for this little corner of the world that I know very well. And so that was the inspiration for starting GreenPal. And that was about the only thing we had going for us. We didn't know how to code. We had never built a website or a software product before. And so we knew the problem and the solution, but we didn't know anything else. And so we had to teach ourselves how to build software, teach ourselves how to code. And the only thing we did was put something out, try to get people to use it, listen to what they told us about all the things that were wrong with it, fix those things, and then rinse and repeat. And it took about 5 years to get something that worked well.
Were you expecting, I'm sure you were hopeful, but were you expecting it to be as big of a success as it has turned into?
Well, in honesty, I thought it was going to be much quicker. So I thought, so you watch the movie The Social Network, or you watch really any movie about building a business. The hard part about building the business is like set to a musical montage, and it all happens overnight. It all I think it was in The Social Network, Zuck and his team coded up Facebook and built it to 1 million users in about 15 minutes. And so it's like, that's what seduces you to get started. And that's a good thing. That naivete can be an asset, because if you know how hard it's going to be, you would never do it. And so for me, the thing that caught me off guard and caught my team off guard was that, man, this is a lot harder than we thought it was going to be. And the thing is that we were inventing something brand new that nobody had ever used. Nobody knew to try to use an app to get lawn mowing done. And so that was the hard thing that nobody told us about. And that took years of trial and error of getting it right and then putting it in the hands of people. And so we knew that it would eventually be big. We knew that we would build something that the mass market could get value from. What we didn't know was how hard that was going to be. It took 2 years to get our first 100 users. And now we're at around 300,000. But we just We
Wow.
kept focusing on that number, kept focusing on growing it, and never looked back.
Can you talk a little bit about like the types of, so I know there are a lot of like the requirements for being maybe one of the providers on the app, because like lawn mowing is one of those younger kid summer job type thing. Like how does someone as a business owner or as a lawn care expert get on the app?
It's a great question. So one of the things that a lot of these Uber for X businesses kind of got wrong. Uber for home cleaning, Uber for valet parking, or Uber for laundry service. Most of these companies went out of business because they looked at the suppliers as fungible commodities, kind of like an Uber driver.
Mhm.
You don't really care
Mhm.
who takes you to the airport, so long as they show up on time and it's a clean car and it's relatively safe. Lawn mowing is not that way. Lawn mowing, you actually need to be in the lawn mowing business. You need to have the right equipment. You need to have the right experience. You want the same lawn mowing service every week. You don't want a different one every week. And so these were all the kind of the nuances we had to figure out, and we had to figure out an onboarding system to screen out the kind of Chuck in the truck or Peter in a pickup, guys that weren't taking the business seriously, and promote the ones that were. And at the early days, it was done all by hand. I personally vetted and onboarded the first 500, maybe even 1,000 service providers onto the platform. And it was through that kind of hand cranking that we were able to kind of understand, okay, this is how the self-serve system would look like. This is the things we need to check for. This is the things that we need to look out for to kind of like sideline somebody who's not taking this business seriously. So there is an initial kind of vetting period, but then beyond that, the first few transactions really matter on the platform. If somebody doesn't show up on time, do a good job, and get booked by their client for ongoing services, we're able to kind of identify that and sideline somebody who's not a good service provider. So then future consumers can get a good experience when they use the platform.
I'm sitting here thinking like there's nothing that I hate more than going outside and mowing my lawn. And so this is like the epitome of making my day richer is
Yeah,
not
nice.
having to do this. So I absolutely love it from a business owner standpoint, and from going into a kind of a world of app development that you've never been in. What have you learned? Because even apps have changed so much over the last few years.
Yeah. So the first thing is you learn it's never done. It's never
Mhm.
finished. It's never over. It's always a continual, just ongoing, infinite game of improvement. So you're always making the experience better and better and better. You're always making it, whatever it is you're doing, better, faster, cheaper, smoother, more consistent, more reliable, more intuitive, more easier to understand. I mean, that never ends. And
Yeah.
in my first company, which was a traditional landscaping business, yeah, you'd always try to look for things to improve, but you kind of reached a plateau of, okay, this is about as good as it's going to get. In a technology company and a technology product, that it never ends. And so you're always on your toes. You're always talking to customers. You're always trying to talk to users to figure out where you're pissing them off and what you need to do better. And in a marketplace like this with buyers and sellers, you're kind of setting the rules of the platform, and you're setting the quality standard of what's acceptable on the platform, and that's hard. You don't really know. You can make a change over here, and the results of if it was a good or bad decision don't show up for another year in a marketplace like this. So it's always experimenting. It's a never-ending like game of experimentation, and that was something nobody told me about. I thought that we would just like build the website and we would be good for a while, and then we would go marketing it. But the reality is that it's never finished. You're always making it better and faster and smoother and cheaper.
With such a, that was going to be one of my questions, is what do you do to market that, since it's such a like niche area and so not thought of as an option out there? How do you handle that?
Yeah, well, so that's one thing that most first time founders don't really understand, is that you think that when you're starting a new business like this, you think that the hard part is building the product. You think the hard part is building the website, and then you realize that actually no, that's the easy part. The hard part is
Mm.
getting people to find out about it, and having it in a place where people are looking when they need whatever it is you do. It's kind of like, I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and we get 100 people a week moving here wanting to be the next big country music singer. And they think that learning how to sing and play a guitar at the same time and cut a record and writing a song, they think that's the hard part. Then they realize, no, that's the easy part. The hard part is getting 100 people to show up at a show. And so starting a new tech business like this is the same thing. And so when we first got going, we launched this terrible app, and we didn't, it was crickets. It was like, if you build it, they will not come. And so
I understand that.
Yeah, we had to get I had to get 100 people to use the damn thing. So if I knew if I was on the right track or not. And so the first thing we did was we just passed out door hangers all over Nashville, Tennessee. And that got us the first few hundred people to use it. And then we would talk to them, and we would ask them, okay, well, where do you normally search for, a lawn company when you need this done? We kept hearing over and over again, out of a last resort, I would just go to Google. And so we kept hearing that over and over again. And we thought, okay, well, then we need to be where these people are looking. And then we came to understand, man, that's actually really hard. Competing in Google organic search is a lot harder than I thought.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother thing that we got to get good at. And so we spent a year just reading every SEO blog we could and going to conferences about SEO. And then we became to understand that, okay, not only are we in the business of building this app, but now we're in like the publishing business. We're in the content business. We got to figure out a way to carpet the internet with our content. And so we developed an organic strategy around, okay, when somebody's looking for a lawn mowing service in Nashville, this is how we pop up as the list of options for them to consider. And now here we are 10 years later, that's still how we get 60 or 70% of new people coming to the platform is just through Google organic search.
Do you feel now, you said you're like, there's always learning, but do you feel now that like you're at a spot where you can, like, it's kind of, you can breathe for a minute, or where are you at now in the business?
Yeah, it's like a video game. It's like 10 levels of Super Mario Brothers, and every level has got its own final boss. And just because you beat, one level and you start the next level doesn't mean it's going to be any easier. It doesn't mean that it's going to be any smoother. In fact, it's going to be harder. And you always like believe, no, it doesn't matter what business you're in. You always believe that, oh, if I can just make this hire, if I can just solve this problem, if I can just get this partner on board, then life will be good. And really all that means is that you just get another set of problems to solve. It's you have to be like a relentless, never-ending problem-solving machine. And I think the sooner as a founder you can embrace that and just understand that that's the way it is, that you solve problems and improve the business, and that unlocks another level. It unlocks another level to beat. There's a new final boss. I think if you can embrace that, it can help you kind of like manage your expectations and be able to go the long haul. So to answer your question, it's more fun now than it was in year 1 and 2 because we have money coming in, and one of my jobs as a CEO is the one of like a capital allocator. So money comes in and I put money back out to work, and sometimes we get positive ROI on that, sometimes we don't. But that's a lot more fun than in the early days when I was doing all the customer service, writing all the blog posts, writing code, like debugging JavaScript crap and like all that stuff at the same time, and not making any money. That was not fun. So the only thing that's changed is it is more fun now in year 10 and it metaphorically maybe level 6, but it is not any easier, and it never gets easier. It's always more challenging, and sooner you can embrace that, the better.
What do you think level 7's going to be like?
Yeah, we need to get to, we need, our next goal is 1 million people using this thing. And so we feel like once we get to that point, we'll be at like the same conversation as an Instacart or a DoorDash. It's just kind of like the default way you do this. And so just grinding on, putting it in the hands of more users, being where people are looking more often, like unlocking new channels, like Reddit. Reddit is a funny thing that we're starting to experiment in. People use Reddit to find a lawn care service. So how do we be in that conversation at scale? All of these things is trying to get more consumers to find out about GreenPal and to use it to find the best fit lawn care company in their neighborhood. Because the thing is if you need your grass cut, the best guy or gal to mow your yard, you can't find them. Like they don't have an online marketing scheme. They don't have visibility. So it's our job to surface that person for you. And so just doing more of what we're already pretty good at is level 7. And it's just continuing to try to grind on this thing and put it in the hands of more users.
Can you talk a little bit about what you're hearing from the companies you bring on, and then also, I guess, maybe reviews of how people are loving the app from the user side?
Yeah, so we kind of have two customers. Our main customer is the lawn care service. That's who we exist for. That's why I get out of bed in the morning, giving them kind of access to building their business faster. You know, access to the American dream. Really, it's like
Yeah.
if you want to start your own business, and you know the first thing about starting a lawn mowing business, it's GreenPal's job to get you from your first 10 customers to 100, and help you with the marketing and the invoicing and all of the things that go into running a business, to where all you need to do is just show up on the day you're supposed to and do a great job. That's why we exist. And so we have a Facebook group where I'm in this group all day long, and it's about 4,000 of the contractors that use the platform, and all day long they're posting questions, giving tips, but a lot of things, it's like, hey, GreenPal, thank you, because now I was able to put a down payment on a house, or I was able to pay off student loan debt, or I was able to buy a riding lawnmower. Like, that's a big one. You don't realize it, like a commercial riding lawnmower is about 18 grand. And when you make that step in this business, it's like a livelihood, like, improver big time, because you're not having to walk all day. And also you can make more money. You can do like 2 yards in the same time it takes to do one. So that's a big one. And so being able to help these business operators, get to where they're trying to go in life, is why we exist. And then in turn, we offer a nice convenience for consumers where they can order these folks off the shelf, kind of like on Amazon or on Uber, where you can hire a lawn mowing service and get a consistent kind of modulated experience. Whereas if you were on Craigslist or Facebook or Yelp, it's just like, good luck. You're going to go through 5 or 10 to get a good one. And so that's kind of why we do what we do. We offer a high five to consumers and like a hug to service providers.
I love that. Is there an area of the United States that you're like, I can't believe we have so many users in this little town somewhere, or is it kind of all evenly spread?
Super weird. It's a great question. It's really, really strange how this kind of takes hold. And one thing you learn about a marketplace business like this is that you don't have one business. You've got like 100 or 300, because every little town operates as its own little micro network. And so if you live in Nashville, Tennessee, you don't care about how many service providers there are in St. Louis, and vice versa. And so what's strange is that if you can reach this point of critical mass between buyers and sellers, and hit that tipping point where a flywheel effect takes hold. And so more consumers find out about it, which means more vendors want to use it, which means prices go down, which means reliability goes up, which makes more consumers want it. And we can't quite figure out why this happens in some cities and why it doesn't in others. And so that's kind of to your earlier question, how we get to level 7, 8, and 9 is to figure out, okay, why does Knoxville, Tennessee pump out 1,000 transactions a week, and Seattle, Washington does half that? And so, why is this smaller market, that's a tenth the size of this larger market, not doing as well? And trying to diagnose that and figure out what are the levers you can pull to bring all of those markets up without spending millions of dollars is the kind of like puzzle we have to solve in the next year.
That's crazy. It's so fun. I don't know. It's just so unique to me that I absolutely love it.
Well, it's a never-ending like puzzle, and it's a never-ending game,
Yeah.
and that's what makes it fun. And one of the cool things about running a business, it doesn't matter if you're running a corner store, a home painting company, or a tech company. Like, you as the founder grow alongside the business. If you're trying to grow the business from 100K to 500K, you're going to be a different person at 500K than you were at 100K. And that's kind of how this business has been for me in 10 years. I am not the same person I was a decade ago. I've had to read books that I never would have read in a million years. I've had to seek out mentors that don't even know me. When I say mentors, is like, people I'm watching on YouTube and talks they're giving, that built companies like Uber and Instacart, trying to learn what they did and how do I apply it to this little world I'm in. and I'm a different person. I'm a different person than I was 5, 10 years ago. And that's one of the fun things about it.
Yeah, that's so smart, because if you were the same person, you wouldn't be where you are today.
Right.
What is that your advice to up and coming entrepreneurs or people who want to dive into something like that? Like, what would be your advice?
Yeah. So first thing is, treat it like an infinite game. Treat it as though it is never going to end, and treat it as though you're going to be at it for 5, 10, 15 years. If you're not enthusiastic enough about it to do it for a decade, then don't start. And it really doesn't matter. It's so funny. It doesn't matter if you're in music. Like the person that comes to Nashville that wants to be the next big rich country music singer is never going to make it. It's the person that loves performing and writing and singing music that makes it. And starting a business is the same way. It's like you really got to get enthusiastic about the process of creating something that other people use. And if they don't like it, that should really bother you. And not bother you because you want their money. It bothers you because they didn't like your art. And how do you change that? How do you improve that? And you should be thinking about it, from the moment you wake up and then in the shower to the moment your head hits the pillow. And if you're not naturally doing that, then it might be an indication that the idea just isn't the right idea and you should be doing something else, because you got to love the process. You got to love the journey to make it in this type of thing. Now, if you're running a more traditional business like what I had earlier, a landscaping company, I was never passionate about cutting grass. I was passionate about building a business that employees got value from and customers got value from. But you have to find the love in whatever it is you're doing and just focus on that. And then the results do follow.
There you go. Is that available on Apple and Android apps?
Yeah, in both places, and also at greenpal.com.
Okay, good. GreenPal.com. We'll put that in the notes in the comments. Bryan, thank you so much for dropping by today.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, anytime. We'll be right back after this.
In this world of innovation, would you rather have an old, outdated flip phone or a brand new iPhone? A horse and buggy carriage or the newest luxury hybrid? A dial-up router with your AOL account or a super fast Wi-Fi hotspot? With nutrition, what you have been using or taking up until now hasn't been bad. There's just something newer. We all appreciate advancements in science and technology. In the same way we seek the best and newest in our electronics, vehicles, and everyday conveniences, wouldn't you also want the best technology and newest innovation for your nutrition and supplementation? At the time, you may have had the best from what was out there and available. Now, there is something better and newer, more bioavailable, more convenient, better tasting, faster acting. It literally is the equivalent to getting an IV full of high-tech nutrients right into your bloodstream, without the needle, without the appointment, without being attached to anything for a specific length of time. Simply pop these tasty, all-natural lozenges into your mouth and savor as they instantly start to absorb into your bloodstream through your mucous membranes. That's it. And with the added benefit of negative ions, in other words, energy, there isn't anything else out there on the market like it. Now is the time to switch to the next improvement and innovation in health and nutrition. It's time for advancement. It's time for better. It's time for APL Go and our rapid botanical DNA drops.
You know what would be better than watching this commercial? Watching your commercial. Join the party that is Make Your Day Richer TV by advertising your brand, business, or project during the show. Use us to promote what you're doing to make our viewers' day richer. 1 month of advertising starts at $200. Scan the QR code or visit makeyourdayricher.com/advertising to start promoting today.
Hey, congratulations to us here at the show for 28,000 views, and thank y'all for making that happen. 28,000 views and downloads. Thank you. I'm so thankful for y'all. and so appreciative. All right, sorry, my monitor here just froze, and I was like, "Are we on? I think we're on. I hope we're on." Hey, I am the co-host of the Wolf Media Fest podcast, which is a media festival here in the United States, outside of or in Florida. But you can be anywhere. If you're making media, you can be anywhere and submit your work to this festival. You go to wolfmediafest.com and do that. But we have a podcast, a weekly podcast that I am co-hosting with my friend Kyle. She's amazing. She also has her own podcast that you need to check out. Anyway, here's the clip from this week's episode. It's available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. I think you call it like a proof of concept. Is that what you said? What does that
Yes.
mean? And then how, like, what are the kind of different levels? Like, is that almost like a pilot to see if it'll go to becoming a feature film, or what is it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the proof of concept I shot, it's going to be about 10 minutes, so it's a short film. And it's also going to be part of an upcoming film festival, the Orlando Independent Filmmakers. So it'll first screen there, but then after that, when it goes the festival route, I'm going to be using this short film to secure financing for the feature.
Wow. So the podcast, we're talking to all of the winners in all of the different categories, and I think there are like 3 million categories that you can submit. So if you are making art or media, go to wolfmediafest.com and check to see if what you do is in the category and submit your work, and you could be on the podcast. And we're having a big ceremony party next April in Florida. We're all going to be there in person. It's going to be really fun. So check that out. Will you? I hope you do. Dentist update. Dentist went well. Great new dentist that I went to, Caroline Smile, and I loved them. So I went there yesterday. They were a great staff, and they said that my teeth were very healthy and great. So I'm happy about that, and I'll go back in 6 months because that's what you're supposed to do. Okay. Also, you know what else you're supposed to do? Come to the Inkpreneur Summit, November 1st and 2nd, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I'm going to be there. A bunch of people are going to be there. You should be there. And right now there's early bird special pricing and a discount if you go on the website. So you should do that. It's inkpreneursummit.com. Go get your ticket, get your hotel. It's going to be really fun. And we'll see you in November. Okay. That's it. I think that's it for today's show. Yeah. All right. You know who's here tomorrow? We're bumping my dad tomorrow. My dad was supposed to be on the show tomorrow, but we bumped him until next week. So he will be here next week to talk about what it has been like to live 30 some years battling cancer. He was first diagnosed when I was in 2nd grade, and he is missing part of his face, and what that has done to his life, and how he continues every day to make his own day richer and to not give up that fight, because it is a constant fight for him. So he'll be here next week. But tomorrow we've got local musician Joe Davi, who's on his The Vault EP release tour, which wraps up this coming up weekends. And so that's why I invited him on tomorrow, so you can see him, and then go see him this weekend if you are in Waxhaw, North Carolina area. And it's going to be really fun. All right, that's it. I love you all. Go make your day richer. You've made my day richer, and we will see you tomorrow. I love you all. Goodbye.